Hello, and welcome to Truth and Transparency. Sorry for the delay, but when you want the sneak preview, just making sure that we can fine tune everything for you. Again, welcome to Truth and Transparency. Tonight is a special behind the scenes sneak preview of season 3 of Sunset Secrets. Again, a lot of work goes into when I do podcasts, when I do any type of pre-recorded video. So again, I do apologize for the delay. Gonna give all those notifications a chance to kick in. Hopefully you guys are doing well tonight. Nothing but thunderstorms over where I'm at. So again, welcome to Truth and Transparency. Saturday night sneak preview behind the scenes Sunset Secrets season 3. Gonna be lit as a tit. Live. Hi, Lana. Hi, Kim and Crafton. Hello. Woo. I'm going to be switching over to my laptop here in just a second. Again, this is season 3, Sunset Secrets preview, sneak peek. Sheldon Jeter Jr., an innocent man. How and why is he behind bars? Well, season 3 is going to break it all down. Oh, so nice to finally be talking to myself in here. Yes. Bumblebee is back from vacay. Thank God. I know that Bumblebee always holds down chat love. So, again, hope you guys are doing sweet. Boston, love it. All my haters love it. I know you're watching too. So, again, when I do behind the scenes, it's pretty cool. You get to see a little bit in the making of things. A lot of time, blood, sweat, and tears. And look at this. Ready? Boom. Grab your favorite Angry Orchard. Grab your favorite Fireball. And anytime I do pre-recorded videos, podcasts, things like that, a lot of time goes into it. As much as I like to be able to wing it, you kind of can't. But hours upon hours of a lot of good shit. But yeah, sorry for the delay. I wanted to give you guys at least 15 minutes of a good preview. What you guys are going to be seeing is, I want to say it's part of the second episode. Saturday night, yes, I'm gonna be going over to my laptop here in just a second. I got 80. What is it? I got about 6 more minutes left until my video uploads the way that I want it to for you guys for the sneak preview. But yeah, I just popped an Angry Orchard, some Fireball, and we got Red Kim in here. We have Octavia is out of suspension. I feel like she's part of the NFL, so she has served her suspension. She paid her fines, paid her dues, and now she can chat again. We got the new me. Again, and then everybody in Alcopa that watches on their big screens and they don't type in chat, just saying hello to you guys as well, because I know you're watching. Love you guys. Like I said, Alcopa became like a second home to me over the past year and a half. Unfortunately, Alcopa gets a bad rep, and it's the people there are just amazing, and I personally can't say enough good things about the community. Like I said, I truly believe it gets a bad reputation, and that's unfortunate. But I have been blessed with meeting a lot of great families, and I'm just hoping that all the hours and information and everything that I was able to gather and to provide, that it brings home an innocent young man, hopefully two, Jamie and Sheldon. So yeah, so again, Vicky, good to see you again. Bumblebee is back from her vacay birthday bash. I will be pulling off the last two games of bingo. I wanted to wait till Bumblebee was back to enjoy it from her little birthday vacay. So hopefully you had a great trip. Yep, I'm here. Well, technically I'm always here, except now you guys can actually see me. So you're telling me during your suspension, Octavia, that you were still working out with the team? You were here, still working out with the team? That's good to know. Good to know. Let's see. Live. Again, I do apologize for the delay. I had to push it back from 8 to 9. And then, like I said, it ended up being like 9:45 when I went live. So all because I wanted you guys to have the best preview. I do believe that season 3 is going to be the best work I've ever done. And not like that's much to write home about, because I mean, when you're new at something, you can only go up, I feel like. But a lot of time has gone into this. So Octavia answers that, of course, like any good suspended athlete would, working out with the team. Good job. It is 4 a.m. here. I might have to watch some on replay. Oh, Vicky, you know what? As long as you can catch the best 15 minutes, was going to be coming up here really soon, which is I'm going to be providing on the big screen for you guys. Well, whatever screen you're watching on. Season 3, I believe it is from, I want to say it's episode 2. I think that's what I went with. I sliced and diced a little for the preview, but it's wild, guys. If you guys aren't familiar with my Sunset Secrets, I guess you could say, series, it follows Alcoa, Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh, about 20 miles. Big steel back in the day. After the steel mills closed, Alcoa fell on some hard times. A lot of athletes have been produced out of Alcoa. A lot of amazing people in general, I think, though, have been produced out of Alcoa. A lot of heart there, a lot of pride. And unfortunately, a lot of unsolved homicides, as well as, I believe, wrongful convictions. One of them being in 2001 when an police officer was murdered. Jamie Brown was arrested wrongfully and convicted of third-degree murder. He's been serving his 20 to 40 sentence. He was up for parole, which he did not get. What was it now? It's been a year. In September here, he does have a hearing, something that's outside of parole. And Sheldon, in 2020, was arrested within 24 hours of a homicide. He was one of the suspects in the 2018 still unsolved homicide in Rachel Del Tondo. And then in 2020, within less than 24 hours, Sheldon Jr. was interviewed a couple times, served a search warrant as he was being transported to do an interview at PSP with his grandfather, and arrested, all within and less than 24 hours. So it's night and day from the Rachel Del Tondo case, where made national news and is still unsolved today. When I first looked at this case, I believed without a doubt the two are related in some way. I believed that they wanted Sheldon Jeter Jr. for Rachel Deltondo's homicide, and he didn't do it, but they wanted him for it. In order to get him on that homicide, well, what better way than label him a killer? And in 2020, there was a homicide, and it was a family friend and acquaintance of Sheldon and his family. Sheldon's family, a lot of pastors, and the church has been a place that's raised and helped to raise the youth. And Tyreek Pugh is one of those amazing souls. I've had the opportunity to see and talk to a lot of people, and there's not a single person out there that will say a bad word about Tyreek Pugh. And he unfortunately lost his life on May 15th, 2020. On May 16th, 2020, again within 24 hours, Sheldon Jeter Jr. was arrested and charged with his murder. Sheldon did not have any priors before the cops arrested him. They never arrested him for Rachel's homicide. Nobody got arrested for Rachel's homicide. Nobody has been there. They've talked to people, interviewed people. Obviously, have served search warrants and stuff like that, but nobody has ever been arrested for Rachel Deltondo's homicide. 48 Hours did an episode and made, Frank Atropa, who was the ex-fiance of Rachel, kind of like a prime suspect, as well as Sheldon, as well as possibly the police department or law enforcement agencies. So Sheldon had zero priors, nothing on his record before being picked up and literally charged with a homicide of a family acquaintance. And within those 24 hours, what I'm going to be breaking down in season 3 for you guys is, what was Sheldon arrested on? What did the case rest on? There's no eyewitness to the homicide. There's no DNA. Sheldon Jeter Jr. was arrested on circumstantial evidence. Sheldon Jeter Jr. was arrested on fabricated evidence. But there was no eyewitness. There was no DNA. What was Sheldon Jeter Jr. arrested on, and being able to be arrested within, like I said, less than 24 hours, especially when a homicide happened on the 15th of May at allegedly 11:30 p.m., that, he was pretty much down at the station by 5 p.m. on the 16th. I don't know how one could investigate anything within that time period, and they didn't. They literally arrested him and then were, doing things after the fact that you would actually do to, in an investigation. See, that's why I assumed he had priors and the cops just targeted him. It happens. Definitely he was targeted. There's no doubt about being targeted. The death of Rachel Deltondo, the murder, the unsolved homicide, it is lingering. And it has been problematic for the police department, other law enforcement agencies, not just Alcopa, politicians, businessmen, because a lot of people were pointed, the finger at. A lot of rumors. And, well, let's just blame the black kid. Well, it's 2022. I thought that maybe that would stop. Um, but unfortunately, I believe that it has not. Now, again, the way I always operate is it's fact based, it's logic. Uh, Sheldon was targeted not only by law enforcement, but everybody knows that the media plays into so much, whether it is social media, whether it is mainstream media, but the media is very, very um, influential. And as far as the media went, they had Sheldon guilty before he ever was arrested for this homicide. As soon as the name Sheldon Jeter Jr. popped up, it was, you're immediately associating that with Rachel Altondo. And there was and is a local blogger that had wrote over 100 articles about the Rachel Altondo homicide and about Sheldon Jeter Jr. being involved in that. Um, so when you write for a couple years and your narrative is your narrative, not only does the media want things to go a certain way because of what they've been saying, but then you have law enforcement that wants things to go a certain way because it's just detrimental to their name. What is up, role playing? Good to see you in chat, love. So he's in on rumors. No, he's not in on rumors. He's in on circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence that never was investigated by his defense team. Also, was he and is he, are there Brady violations? If you can uncover things while you're investigating as a officer of the law, police officer, you have to turn over everything. Otherwise, it's a Brady violation, especially if it's, if it's exculpatory to prove that Sheldon did not do this. But I'll be happy to tell you guys right off the rip. When I first read this, saw this, knew about the Del Tondo stuff, knew about what they tried to do in 2019 when 48 Hours was released. I believe full on that Sheldon Jeter Jr. was set up in some capacity. And it was a matter of proving that. But if somebody like Sheldon, who's 23, and at the time would have been 21, of Pugh's death, and then you got to even go back further for Rachel's death, usually criminals get better. Why would Sheldon allegedly go home and sleep with the gun and put it underneath his bed? Who would do that? Why didn't he do that with Rachel? If he killed Rachel and he took the gun and just put it underneath his mattress, but I happened to be able to sit into most of the trial. And if I wasn't there, I had the best note takers in town, which would be the family. And the prosecution kept repeating over and over and over, all roads lead to Sheldon Jeter Jr. All roads lead to Sheldon Jeter Jr. That was what their big line was in the courtroom for the 2020 homicide. And you know what? They're not wrong. They're not wrong. All roads did lead to Sheldon Jeter Jr. But the question is why? Well, because Tyreek Pugh, his identification card had the same address as Sheldon Jeter Jr. Right there, number one. If you want to be able to go interview somebody right away, well, wherever they're going to be serving a death notice would be a great place to be able to do that. And you're going to see in season 3 a lot of references made to identification cards, IDs, and where people lived and stuff like that. You're also going to see in season 3 so many things that just don't add up. Like, why is the 911 caller supposed to be standing over the body calling 911, but the trace went back to Baden, Pennsylvania? Baden, not Aliquippa, Baden. How can your 911 caller be traced back to Baden if they're standing over the body of a deceased on Keel Street in Aliquippa? How is that not talked about? The inconsistencies in this case start from the beginning and they go all the way through. So was Sheldon Jeter Jr. set up? Absolutely. 100%. Not a doubt about it. Not a single doubt. And I'm going to prove it in season 3. I'm literally going to prove that he was set up. Now you just got to decide who did the setting up. You guys can play jury in season 3 and say how you would vote, guilty or innocent, based off of the evidence that would be presented to you that wasn't presented in the courtroom when Sheldon went to trial. Because the first thing that you decide as a defense attorney is how you're going to defend your client. Well, they had a choice. And they chose to treat this as an isolated incident and not mention Rachel Del Tondo. I told one of the members of the team that was completely insane. And she knows that I said that to her. Because it wasn't true. And the evidence didn't point that way. So, thanks, Maple Beef. Technically, I'm renewing my membership, except now you guys can see me. Again, thank you for the memberships. Hit the thumbs up. I am switching over here right now to my laptop. You guys even might be able to see me on panel. Look out. Again, I love that you guys are all here for this preview. Love it, love it, love it. And just so we're clear about, when you're set up for something, that does not necessarily mean that it is the police, okay? But at the end of the day, when you want to prosecute somebody, it is the police that put together a case and then present it to a prosecutor to say, hey, here you go. Here's our case against this person for this crime. Well, I have no idea how that was possibly presented in less than 24 hours with no eyewitness, no DNA. No. How was Sheldon Jeter Jr. arrested and why within less than 24 hours? And that is actually very important, I believe, in this case, because they couldn't have people talking. They could not have that community talking. Because Sheldon didn't know what was going on. Sheldon never had a chance to talk to anybody. They took his cell phone at 4:30 in the morning. They took his cell phone when they came there. I think they allowed him to forward calls I know that I think if he had an iPhone, he might have been able to pick up calls or whatever. But they took his vehicle and his cell phone when they gave a death notice. Wait till you guys see all of the stuff that surrounds this case. Only in Beaver, baby. Only in Beaver. So here we go. Again, hello, Maple Beeve. Yes, you can make a one-time donation to assist the work. You can thumbs up the video. You can comment here. All I ask that you do is be kind. It almost took a week for the police to arrest my ex's murderer. Wow. That actually might be the reason why. Bumblebee. Again, hello to everybody that's watching. Hello to people that are in chat. And if you just became a member, thank you. But I am switching over now to my laptop so you guys can check this out. This is for all the thirsty people out there. Uh-oh, two faces. All right, that should be handled. Woo-woo! How you guys doing? Good? Great. All right, here we go. If you guys are watching, this is always able to be heard. There is just a little bit, I think, at the beginning that I allow you guys to see before I black it out. So, watching your screen might help in the beginning. I think it's the first 30 seconds, but then it goes all audio, so can't go way too much. Here we go. Oopsies. Brandon Wexler, witness that was the first to allegedly see the body of Tyreek Pugh on Keel Street on May 15th, 2020, comes in for a second interview. The only one of the four witnesses to come back in and speak to detectives a second time. Please listen closely to this officer's first sentence as he approaches Brandon Wexler. Like I said to you at your house. The only time that Brandon Wexler was ever interviewed was at the scene at approximately 1:24 a.m.
I know we spoke the night of
So this would not be the second interview with the prosecution's main timeline witness, Brandon Wexler, as stated.
Back up and start that night. Just so I'm right, you left your house at Reno Street, right?
The prosecution's case against Sheldon Jeter Jr. was all circumstantial. There was no eyewitness. There was no DNA. This case that the prosecution presented relied on a timeline that relied heavily on surveillance in Aliquippa, mainly residential surveillance, as well as a couple business surveillance. This witness, Brandon Wexler, did not call 911 when he saw the body of Tyreek Pugh laying in the middle of the road on Keel Street on the night of May 15th, 2020. He also was not seen on the Two Cousins convenience store video footage camera, which is a very important video footage surveillance system that they used in the prosecution of Sheldon Jeter Jr. And this witness was not seen on that camera, his vehicle.
Brandon, like I said before we started the recording, I'm just going to kind of ask you where you were coming from when you were driving up. What's this street's? You know the name of the street?
I actually don't know the name of this street, no.
So, you take 51 down to Keel Street, right? All right. And so, when you make a right onto Keel Street, do you see any other cars? Anybody walking? Anybody parked along the road? Anything like that?
Anybody walking? No. Anybody coming down 51? No, just at that time there wasn't anybody behind me. Even at that intersection where I took the exit,
Right.
there wasn't anybody driving on that intersection either. But when I took the exit and then made the left to go up Keel Street, there were cars parked. Stopped at Sheets in Rochester real quick, and then after that, I was on my way over here, took 51 over here, and I got off on the exit right before the hill here.
Right.
Started coming up the hill. Saw a body laying on the ground. Saw blood. I didn't call 911 right away. I was still worried that, who knows, maybe the shooter could still be in the area. I immediately went up.
I go home every week, but I just go from here to the airport and back and then go home.
Okay. So you were on your way home from the airport tonight?
Yes. I worked second shift today, first and second, actually.
What time did you get off at?
Get off at 11, but I didn't leave there until about 11:15.
11:15. And is this the route you usually take to get home?
Yeah, 51,
51.
and then right up here. I came around the bend. I didn't know the time, but when they asked me, I was thinking in my head it had to be between 11:35 and 11:40. Well, it turns out I called police at 11:39.
11:39. Okay. Was there anybody else at the scene whenever you got here? When you were coming up the street, did you see anybody walking away? Did you pass any other cars? Okay.
No, there was nobody. I just expected to come like every other night, come right around the bend, or go up and go home. That's it. You know.
Okay.
It very much surprised me to see somebody laying in the road. And, uh-oh, what did he do? I thought, well, maybe he it's wet. He could have slipped and hit his head. He could have been drunk, or he might have got hit by a car. I couldn't tell, but I had this little flashlight I take out of my pocket, and I said, "Oh shucks, he's bleeding," you know. But when I looked closer, it was like blood was running out of his ear. I tapped my leg like that, you know. So I immediately called.
Okay.
I had to call him. I called apparently Aliquippa down here within about 30 seconds of getting out of my van.
Okay. So, I mean, basically, where your van's parked at right now, to pass the body, is that where you stopped at? I should you move the car all after?
They moved it up. When I came in, my lights hit as soon as I did. As soon as that hit him, I went across the traffic came down the hill. The officer.
So you see the body, pull your car into the middle of the road, you get out, you went over, you said you nudged his leg to see if you'd wake up?
Well, I said, "Oh no, this is bad." I go, "What?" So he wasn't moving, he wasn't saying anything, and I walked beyond, and I just tapped him on his right leg, like that. And I hadn't even noticed all the blood on the road. I thought that was just like water.
Okay.
When I shine a light on it, I go, "Oh no, it was thick."
Yeah.
So when I called, I said, "I really think he's dead, to be honest with you, because it's just too much damage, you know."
Yeah. And while you were down there, other than his leg, did you touch anything else?
No.
Did you move any of his clothing? Nothing like that?
Nothing.
Okay. And it looks like there might be a cell phone next to the body. You didn't touch that at all? Or
No,
kick
no,
that or
I
anything?
saw that.
That's where it was sitting at?
It was laying just like that, face down in the river there of blood.
All right. And how long do you think it was until the other gentleman showed up here?
I would have to say, after I called the police, he showed up probably. The car came around the bend about 30 seconds after I hung up with the police. So
Okay.
It was a very short call. And as I was waiting for somebody to come, they said they wouldn't be long. And this car came around, and I was flagging my light at him so he wouldn't maybe try to get around my van.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, "Oh, we know about it." Because the other guy said he drove up the hill to his friends and then he said, "We got to go back and see him." He thought I was dead. I did not. I thought he was
And who was the one that was saying that to you, that you already went past him once?
I already went past it. Right there.
Okay. So that's his vehicle. Or you know,
Yeah, he said that after. I thought when he said he ran up the hill, I thought he was on foot.
okay.
But no, that was his car. He just shot up the hill for, I guess he needed more eyes or something. Maybe he was scared of the dark. I have no idea.
What?
But he basically just said that he saw it, ran up there, got his buddies, and they came back. So all three of them showed back
Yes,
up.
because when I was trying to slow them down, make sure they didn't run him over, they said, "No, we already know. He told us." You know.
Okay. And when they got on scene, did they touch anything? Did they check the body?
No,
No, they never got close to it at all.
they did not.
Okay.
Because where I was standing when I stopped them, that's as far as they went,
Okay.
and I was uphill from the body too.
Did anybody else show up that other than paramedics and the
No.
firefighters, anything like that? Nobody else that you saw?
No, and they got here right quick. I don't think it was as many as 2 minutes.
Have you ever seen him before?
I don't believe it.
How long do you think you've been down there?
I think we're on the street
So you work at the airport and then you drive back on the weekends?
Welcome to Truth and Transparency.
all driving because flights weren't easy. I used to fly back and forth, you know.
Okay.
And, keep a car each place. And finally, after renting once, I said, "No, I could buy a house here for $7,000, so I did.
There you go. Is there anything else that you think would be pertinent to the investigation? Anything I should know? Anything I may not have asked?
No, it's just that I was saying it's a quiet neighborhood. I thought it was quiet, anyways.
Yeah.
You can hear a pin drop. I mean, in the summertime, kids walk around the block. But I'm on Jones Street, you know. So
And this is witness number 3 coming up. This is going to be witness 3. And let's see what he has to say about the area and the scene and the time.
6 years. Okay. So tonight, or not, I know it's tomorrow technically,
Right.
but yesterday, last night, were you at home?
Yes.
Okay. So kind of walk me through what happens.
Okay. Now, my son and I just got back from Sharon, PA.
Okay.
At about 11:30. And my wife had eaten dinner, got in her shower, and was going to bed.
Okay.
My son and I stepped out on the porch, and it was, I mean, ballpark figure around midnight. And we heard multiple shots. I mean, it sounded like about 10 of them.
Could you sense like what direction they were coming from, or?
Well, we knew it was coming from this direction, but to me it sounded pretty muffled. Okay, I've been in the military, and I fired a lot of guns.
Right.
I don't know if somebody used a suppressor, and I do know that there is somebody in the neighborhood that does have one.
Who's that?
Well, I don't want to give the name because I don't want to end up like that guy.
Yeah, I understand that, but I mean,
I will say he lives up here on Shaw Street. Okay, I'll give you his first name. That's all I know, and his name is Mike. I even have a picture of the weapon that.
is Mike a white or black guy?
He's a black guy. I was drinking vodka with him, and he showed me this gun.
You weren't drinking vodka with him tonight, were you?
No,
Okay.
no.
Contain in car 2, old radio.
But wrong one. And to me, this is what it sounded like. Was
How old do you think Mike is?
he's got to be in his 30s or 40s. He's a big guy. And to me, that's what it sounded like.
And Mike sent you this picture? Or?
I was sitting there with him, as you could see, we were drinking, and he handed it to me, let me look at it, and I just took a picture of it. This was a week ago.
All right. If we were to provide you a phone number, would you send that to us?
Yes, I would.
All right. We'll get to that. We'll put a pin in that and come back to that later. So, you said about midnight you heard multiple shots. They kind of sounded muffled. What happened after that?
Well, about 2 minutes later, he come flying up the road. Well, actually, about 10 minutes later, he come flying up the road, and he's telling us, call 911. There's a dead body in the road down here.
Would you say he? I know we all
Brandon.
know Brandon.
Brandon, yes. And I said, okay, Brandon, let's go down and see what's going on, see if this guy actually is dead. And sure enough, we pull up, and I could see the hole in the guy's forehead. I knew he was gone.
Have you ever seen that guy before?
I'm going to tell you, he
Right
looks
here, witness
very
3 says that he
familiar.
just,
He looks like a guy that
right
used
there,
to live up here on Keel Street.
without even,
and we knew him by the name of Ronnie.
seeing the bullet,
Okay.
and so when you listen to the 911
And
caller
he was a drug
and the
dealer.
person that was standing over the body to make the 911 call, it is just
He-
a completely different story. But how can it be when you're talking about
A little over a
the
year
same
ago, him and
alleged
his wife
scene?
got into it, and I think she kicked him out. She moved out, and he moved down here somewhere. But I haven't seen him for a while. But like I said, that looks just like him.
So when you guys come down the hill here, do you
This gentleman was already stopped there.
the guy in the van?
Yes.
Do you guys get out of the car and
Yes.
go walk over to the body?
I walked over to the body. I didn't touch anything.
Okay.
I looked over, and I seen that he had a hole in his forehead, and I could see it in the back of his head where all the blood was draining.
Mm-hmm.
That it was a done deal. There's nothing I could do for him.
Did you or your son call 911, or
We were going to call, but the man in the van already said that he had called 911.
Okay.
So we just stayed there.
Okay. Well, after you, if we could backtrack just a little bit, after you hear the shots, do you hear any like tires screeching or
No.
anything like that? Anybody yelling? Anything?
No.
Okay.
We heard the multiple shots, and that was it. And my son and I both were like, I mean, my son looked at me and goes, "Did you hear that?" And I said, "Yeah, I heard that. It was pretty muffled, but I heard that." And we hear shots through here all the time.
Yeah.
So, you know, it didn't really surprise me. I mean, about a week ago, my neighbor from across the street said that he heard somebody let off what sounded like an Uzi back here. So,
Right.
So, witness that called 911 that has lived up there on Jones Street, he said
Do
you
you
could
know
hear,
of anybody that
pins
has
drop.
cameras
It's just so
or surveillance
quiet.
video along this road here?
You have this witness
Do you
who's
know
been living
anybody
up there
that
for the
lives
same
on
amount of
I
time.
don't know anybody that lives on
and
this
it's,
road, but I do know that somebody owns
gunshots,
this property here on the corner.
Uzis, lots of action.
And they put all
So
the
which is
dirt
it?
there because people were constantly dumping mattresses and everything over there. So he may have cameras up there. I do not know whoever owns it.
So, are you talking about when you go around?
As you go around the bend off to the right here,
Yeah.
you'll see a big berm of dirt right there that whoever owned this property had that dump there, so it stopped people from dumping garbage back there.
Okay.
And you don't know who actually owns it?
No.
What about as you're coming up the hill there? There's a house that's got like basically it's painted on the garage. It says no parking. It's like a red brick house right there down at the bottom of the hill. Do you know who that is?
I don't know who that is.
Okay.
I've often suspected that they had something to do with the church that's right down here. So
Okay. So just to recap, the dead gentleman appears to be Ronnie, somebody who you knew as Ronnie, but you're not sure.
not positive, but he looks almost like him.
And he used to live up on Keel Street.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, who lives on Shaw Street, black male in his 30s or 40s,
Mm-hmm.
has that gun with a suppressor on it.
Yes.
Did you see Mike at all tonight?
No. I saw him earlier today. He was in he was in his Jeep that he usually parks up there. Him and his wife. He just did a bunch of renovation work and everything up there.
Now, do you think that Mike
on his house there on
got
Shaw Street.
interviewed
You can't miss it. I mean,
by
he's
the
got
police?
this really nice.
No,
Jeep
he did
sitting
not.
there,
Is it like a Jeep
Mike
Grand Cherokee or like a Jeep
Did not get
Wrangler?
interviewed by the
kind of like
police.
a Wrangler, but it looks like a Mad Spider almost. It's one of the newer models.
What color is it?
It's black.
Anything else distinctive? Does it have like custom wheels or?
Yeah, it's got custom tires on it, custom wheels. Got some funky lights on the front of it that super bright, but other than that,
Like a light bar or just like...
no.
big
The
floodlight?
headlights itself, I mean, they're just weird.
Other than his wife, does he live with? Does he have any kids? Does he live with anybody
No.
else?
No,
Okay.
just his wife.
You may have answered this, but where is he living at?
He lives up here on Shaw Street. I don't know the exact address, but you can't miss it. I mean, you can see where he's done a bunch of renovation work on his porch, and he put a brand new retaining wall in the front.
Does Mike work anywhere? Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of.
So how's he getting all that money to do all that renovation?
Exactly. It's been rumored that he's one of the biggest drug dealers in this area. So I don't cross him.
Okay.
So you know his last name? You
No.
just don't want to... Okay.
I don't know his last name.
Okay. Do you know his wife's name?
Uh-uh.
So when you leave your house, can you see his house
Mhm.
from your? Did you see the Jeep out in front?
No, I didn't see the Jeep out front.
Is that the only cars they have?
He's got a Jeep, his wife drives a white vehicle, and he's got a really nice blue street glide, Harley Davidson customized street glide.
Her white vehicle, is it an SUV too, or is it a car?
No, it's a regular car.
You know what? Like, is it a Chevy, Ford, Dodge?
I think it's a Dodge, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Do you have Mike's phone number?
No. I don't associate with him much. Like I said, I sat and drank with him that one night, and that's about it. We talk on the street every now and then, say, hey, how you doing? You know, that's about as far as it goes.
Okay.
Do you know who he associates with? Or who would know him a little bit better?
I know he associates with my neighbor who got busted a year ago. They raided his house because he was selling drugs.
Who's that?
His name is Chris. I don't know his last name, but he lives right next door to me. He's at 105 Moreland.
Okay. So when you went over that one time to Mike's house, what did you guys talk about? Was it just BSing?
Just BSing. Sitting there drinking vodka, talking about women, talking about, yeah, I know it's funny because his wife was there too. She wasn't too happy about it. But, just everyday stuff. And then he pulled that out and he showed it to me. I was like, oh, that's cool. He pulled the clip out, handed it to me. I took a couple pictures of it.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
If you could,
What? If you could just forward that photo to this number. I don't think we have any further questions. I'm going to stop the recording at 1:36.
Bill used to walk up the hill, and I'd always coming around here at 11:30ish. Bill, you want to ride? Because he's coming from one of the bars or something.
Okay.
Very pleasant man. He passed away some years ago. When he'd jump in, I'd give him a ride to his house,
Yeah.
I thought this was one of them,
Yeah.
They just going up the hill. But, I mean, my other guy was my neighbor. I knew him,
Mm-hmm.
And,
I mean, obviously you're driving this road pretty often at the same time every night. Have you ever
Oh,
seen
yeah.
anybody else consistently other than Bill?
no, but there's seasonally in the summer, it's not uncommon to see somebody walking up and down this hill around after dark,
Okay.
say 10:30, 11. But I'm a first shift guy, but on Fridays I work an extra shift for another guy who wants off, So
Okay.
I make the extra money.
Yeah.
So on a Friday I come up later, and I wasn't surprised to see somebody walking, perhaps. I was surprised to see somebody laying down.
Okay.
And my first thought was, the son of a gun's probably drunk and he's sleeping on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Then I thought, well, I knew he was damaged. I go, he must have got hit by a car. But no, you can figure it out after a minute or two.
Yeah. Well, I'm very sorry for you to see all that. I appreciate you sticking around to talk to us about it. If there's nothing else, then we can walk back down, and
Yeah.
as soon as we're able to, we'll get you out of here. All right?
Okay, I'll be
All right,
on the car
appreciate it.
then.
Interview's concluding at 01:42 hours.
No cars, anything like that? No. Okay. So don't see anybody, and then you see our victim in the road, correct? So when you see the victim, do you get out of your car?
I didn't get out of the car at all.
Okay. Did you roll down the window?
I actually...
Or was it already down?
They were already down, because as I was traveling from Rochester to Aliquippa to go up there, I had my windows down, because it was nice out. It was like 60-some degrees. I had the windows down. I was blaring music as I usually do, but getting off the exit, I turned up, went on Kill Street, saw the victim laying there. I put the windows up.
Okay.
I didn't feel safe.
So when you get there, you see the victim. Is your music still up, or do you turn it down to like yell? I'm just asking. I don't know. Do you turn it down to yell at yell at him, or
No, I didn't. What's actually funny is whenever I pulled up onto Keel and witnessed what was there, my music actually was done playing. My music app I use is completely stupid. Sometimes it'll just stop on its own.
okay?
Yeah, technology.
Did you? So since the sound was down, or it was done playing, so it's pretty quiet, I assume. Did you hear any rustling in like the woods or anything like that? Like somebody running in the woods or anything? Okay. So you roll up the windows. Was it obvious that the victim had been shot, or did you just think he was just?
It was more or less an assumption, but I mean, even though I didn't get out, I didn't look at anything there, you know, kind of just went up there, told my buddies what went on, we got to call the police, and then going back down there. Like I said, it was all pretty much based on an assumption, but I mean, him laying there, just seeing the amount of blood that was already spilled out on the concrete,
Mm-hmm.
that was the only assumption I could make is, okay, he was shot, and a little bit fucked up of me to, you know, assume that, but I'm gonna be honest, it is Alacapa.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the greatest of towns.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, other than the blood, did you notice anything else on him? Like anything else that stuck out to you, other than blood?
Well, at first, when seeing the body, sorry, fixing my shirt.
That's alright.
At first, when seeing the body, no, I didn't notice anything that really stuck out.
Mm-hmm.
But after going up, telling my buddies, and we went back down, because the original point we went back down there was to make sure, you know, is this guy okay? Is he still breathing? Because I didn't get out of the car. I just saw him laying there and there was blood. Oh shit. But when we got back down there and whatnot, and went over and took a look at him, obviously we could tell, sadly, he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
But we did notice that his cell phone,
Mm-hmm.
he's pretty much laying like this.
Mm-hmm. On his back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And what was real interesting was him laying there, where this arm was laying, blood was actually running right down from his arm, and his cell phone, it wasn't in his hand, it was like right here,
Mm-hmm.
laying on the blood trail from his hand. So, I mean, I'm no detective, neither are my buddies, but I mean, just looking at that, kind of seems like either jumped or something sent him backwards and dropped his phone and it skid.
Okay. So, we can backtrack a little bit. You roll up the windows because you're scared. You drive up the hill to your buddy's house. And what's your address? Is your buddy's house? Do you remember? Or what street?
It is 103 Moreland Street.
Okay. So you drive up there. Do you get out of the car when you get to your buddy's house? Or do you just yell from the window, hey, get out of the car?
I flew up there,
Mm-hmm.
parked it as best I could real quick, where I usually do,
Yeah.
across the street from his house. Got out, ran up to them and told them, there's a body, there's blood, we gotta call the police.
Okay. And when they did they immediately get in your car? And then you guys drove back down? So
We immediately got in the car and went back down there.
okay. So I know things are chaotic at that point, but your best guess of when you leave the victim, drive to your buddy's house, and come back, what time frame is that? Is it 5 minutes or less? Is it
Honestly, it wasn't even close to 2 minutes.
okay?
I mean, Keel Street is not that far from Moreland Street, which is where they live,
Mm-hmm.
and literally time of seeing the body, and then after that just went up there, like literally flew up there, stopped, got out, told them body, there's blood, we gotta call the police. Immediately got back in the car, we immediately drove back down there, and then that's where we saw the minivan, which wasn't there when I first showed up.
Right.
When we came back, the minivan was there with the older gentleman, and he was the one that said he called 911, because we were about to, but he already told us, no, I already called 911, it's like, oh, okay. But, after, basically up there, coming back, like I said, it wasn't even close to 2 minutes. It didn't take very long at all.
Okay. So when you drive, after you leave the victim and you drive, does anybody pass you going the opposite way, whether it's driving or walking, or do you see anybody in front of you
Mm-mm.
that's driving or walking or anything like
The
that?
street was dead.
Okay. No, I get it. And I forgot to ask this, but backtracking to when you leave Sheets, how long do you think it takes? Have you driven that before, that to your buddy's house, that route before?
I drive it all the time. Yeah.
So how long does it, guesstimate, I know you can't give me an exact, but how long at that time of night does it usually take you to get to your buddy's house?
Anywhere between 15-20 minutes.
Okay. All right. Was there when you're driving that night down 51 through Monaco, on 65, across the bridge through Monaco on 51, is there a lot of traffic? Or no?
Not really. I mean, you know how 51's a double,
Yeah.
like lanes this way, lanes that way. I mean, that time of night, yeah, you do see cars, sometimes on the same side as you, but if you do, it's nothing major. It's like maybe one or two at most, but it's
Right.
it's usually the opposing side going back towards Monaco
Right.
that
So-
has the most cars going on it.
So it's safe to assume that night you didn't get held up in any traffic or anything like that?
No,
Okay.
fairly clear. Just besides like one or two cars, fairly clear.
Okay. Do you remember? I don't even know if you'll remember, but when you just soon as you get out of Monaco onto 51, you're leaving Monaco. There's that red light to go. I think it's Colonial Hill or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Did you catch the green light or did you have to stop there? Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're gonna. Have you heard anything since this night? Has anybody called you, or has anybody reached out to you, other than your buddies that came down? Has anybody talked to you about it, or wanted to give you information, or hey, were you the guy that you know what I mean? Just
Right.
people you don't talk to.
No, not really. I mean, no one's really been like, hey, you're the guy, blah blah blah. No one's really done any of that. No one's suspicious. Or,
No one's suspicious of what?
stuff. Really, it's just been, the three of us that were there, just basically us talking and whatnot. I mean, that's pretty much been it.
And that was your two buddies are Preston and Gene, right?
Yes.
Have
Gene's-
they?
Preston's my friend, and he's Gene's son.
Gene is dad. Have they told you if they heard anything, like rumors on the street, rumors through the neighborhood up there about what happened?
I mean, I'm not trying to cause any trouble for
Welcome to the Transparency. This is season 3, Sunset Secrets. Hope you guys enjoy the little preview there for you guys. Yeah. We got a couple innocent people that we're hoping to reunite with their families. I want to hear from you guys. If you guys are still in chat, feel free, write in, tell me what you guys think. But I did the best I could to, give you a little something on this rainy Saturday. So, I know a couple people asked earlier, why Sheldon? Why would they zero in on Sheldon? Why would Sheldon be arrested, less than 24 hours? Because of Rachel Del Tondo. I love police interrogations. Yeah. Well, then you're going to love season 3. I think that we can clearly see that there's a difference of opinion on two people of what quiet is a pin. You can hear a pin drop up here on Plan 6. Well, no, the fuck you can't. You hear it every day from John Paul. People are just driving around waving guns and shooting up, everything that they can look at. But it's just quiet as a pin drop up here. You can hear a pin drop up here. But that's his opinion. I just don't think he lives there. I mean, he gave a New York address. When he called 911, he was in Baden, Pennsylvania. And he said, oh, hell, I'll just buy a house up here. It's, $7,000. Let me just buy a house. And then you hear the other witness who got driven back to the body, as it was stated in trial, because your 911 caller wasn't the first person to see the body, allegedly. It was Brandon. But he just didn't call 911. He just just drove past and but he knew he was shot, but didn't get out of his car. But knew he was shot and thought that maybe the shooter was still in the area and that he just needed to get out of there, man. He was scared. It's Aliquippa, man. Okay, then why the fuck did you go back to the body? Because the shooter could have still been there. Also, why didn't you think he was hit by a car? I'm sorry, but if I see somebody in the middle of the road when I'm driving, I don't think that they are shot. Unless I have a reason to think that they are shot, and I would state that, which would be, I slowed down, I looked over, I saw this. No. He just says, he slips up, and he just says that he was shot, but he didn't get out of the car. And then the reason the window being rolled up versus rolled down, the reason that's important for these cops is, because he could have had a better view, and that's why he knew that he was shot. When he got out, that's why he didn't need to get out of the car. That's what I believe. But your 911 caller, this scene, nobody would think. I mean, you're not going to think that this person in any way, shape, or form was hit by a vehicle. But why did he? Did it have something to do with the fact that he was in Baden, Pennsylvania when he made the 911 call? Probably. Did that come up in court? No. But yet nobody in the media wants to talk about any of this because it doesn't fit their narrative. So I'm just here to fuck the game up, and you can have your narrative, but I'm going to base all my narrative off of evidence. And the trace on this 911 call went back to Baden, Pennsylvania, not Aliquippa, not Keel Street, not standing over the body. Why? Why? And how was that not brought up? How was it not brought up that your first person to allegedly approach the body, is not seen on any important camera? Oh, but it's seen up top on a camera. And guess what time Brandon is seen up top on a camera? At 12:04 a.m. And isn't that kind of go with what, we got home and it was probably about midnight, Well, Brandon is seen up top of the hill on a surveillance camera at 12:04. But that doesn't work. That is not going to work. Okay, because Sheldon's seen on a camera at the bottom of the hill at 11:35. So we need to explain why this guy's camera has to be off, and we got to find a way to make this guy's camera off. So we got to trash every camera that's going to be up on that hill. And we got to figure some things out. We got to make sure that we got things down with our witness here, Brandon. He doesn't even know the name of the street, but he says he drives it all the time. Like, what? Okay. You got to go through a bunch of towers if you're going to be, hitting off. It's a 10-minute drive, and that's low end. But it is on the way. Like, if you were to be coming back from the airport, like allegedly happened, could you make that phone call out? Do I believe that somebody told that person to make that phone call out? Absolutely. Then you have to listen to, why was the van moved out of the scene? And we're going to get all into this in season 3. But that van being moved out of the scene meant that van was never photographed. That van couldn't have been photographed. You want to know why? Because that van wouldn't have registered back. to the 911 caller. But I'm here for it. Be here for it. Like I said, over, I would say roughly, let's see, the Watts case I did 1,900 hours on. Between Jamie Brown and Sheldon Jeter Jr., I've put in, I would say, yeah, a pretty penny. More than that. More than 1,900 hours, so. This has been broken down like nothing I've ever broke down. Timelines like you've never seen. And, again, why was Sheldon Jeter Jr. arrested within 24 hours? I mean, less than 24 hours, guys. With no evidence. How does that happen? And then you got to make sure that you take the family away from the house so that you can go in there with a search warrant? Okay, well, let's talk about that search warrant. Let's talk about everything that took place, because you have to have this guy labeled as a murderer so that you can pin him for Rachel Del Tondo. And that was the plan. And that's how Sheldon should have been defended. And the lawyers should have taken all the time that I have to defend the young man. Sheldon Jeter Jr. is innocent, factually innocent. And there are so many things that these investigators were given that they purposely did not look into and look the other way. Why? Binders, baby. Binders. Awesome. I love bling stuff. Maybe supports Lana. Yes. Good people. Yes. Get in where you fit in. Again, you guys are great. How far is that from Aliquippa? How far is that other town? Yep. There you go. I answered both of that for you. Also, in Aliquippa, you make a phone call. You make a phone call to the police. How long does it take for them to arrive? This was during COVID. And remember, the way that this phone call went in is it was not like shots fired. It was not, this was, I think this person was hit by a car. Like, I'm not sure. Like, it was one of those things where, it's just very interesting. And I'm trying to back myself up because you guys deserve season 3 the way that it's going to be laid out. So with that said, if I had a hoodie for merchandise, I would hashtag probably binders. Yeah. This was more about this wasn't about hi guys. Okay, so you got me in depth with what I've heard. I couldn't hear body cam. Well, Willings tomorrow. I'm crashing. Weird stuff there from what I've heard for sure. Wow. Yeah, and I had stuff a little lower on purpose. But I'm so glad. Good to see you here, Rose. I love it. Yeah. You guys are going to come along for the whole ride. Top to bottom, what I just did today is I just gave you that little sneak preview of, I believe it was episode 2, I want to say. Clips from that. I clipped different parts and combined it in that little preview. So, everybody has their theories of what goes on in Aliquippa. Everybody has their theories of what goes on in any case. But I will factually prove everything that I say in season 3. So if you want to ignore logic and ignore facts, you can be a mental midget. That's on you. But I'm urging people to really take notice of why Sheldon Jeter Jr. was targeted and has been targeted. And it all roads lead back to Rachel Del Tondo. They do not lead back to Sheldon Jeter Jr. Everything leads back to Rachel Del Tondo. And I just really, it hurts my heart to think that people make a ton of money to defend. Like, you have, like, someone's life is in your hands, and you literally didn't do anything. Didn't even look at this case, because how would you not know that the 911 caller traced back to Baden, Pennsylvania, which is not over the body of the deceased male. So I even lay listening. Yep, lurk away. I love it. But thank you guys again. Consider fighting this great fight. A lot of time goes into it, but it's all going to be worth it. So again, thank you for my mods for being here. Thank you, Kim and Crafton, for the support. I appreciate that. Love to see that Rose was in here. I know that Rose does enjoy true crime. This is definitely a true crime, and it happened to a young male that no priors, was hoping to lead a life in the church, as well as he wanted to be a law enforcement agent. Like, they had Sheldon's GPS through his phone, and not once did his GPS ping him and land him in Plan 6 on Jones Street ever. They had all this. They turned it over. So, but as far as Brandon being talked to at his house, there's no record of that. So, and that's just like 1/100th of the shit that they pulled with this case. Wait till you guys see how many residents that they went in getting surveillance, and then all of a sudden, oh, it was written over. Oh, yep, nothing was on it. Oh, the Wi-Fi fell out. Oh. Horrible. But yeah, this series drops, and it's once a week that the new episodes come out. It's 10 weeks. I think that's what it is. 10 or was it 11? 10 or 11, something like that. With some bonus behind the scenes like Q&A. They're pre-recorded episodes, and then I think it follows up on Tuesday nights for like the live Q&A for questions. There will be special guests during those live Q&A on Tuesdays from time to time. So they drop on, is it Sunday night or Monday night? One of the two, and then the live Q&As after it the next day. So again, thank you guys so much. These cases have stumped me. I've been on Rachel's from the beginning. Yes. Yeah. The Del Tondo family deserves, they deserve for people to stop using them, and their daughter. That's what they deserve. So, but yep, until next time. Here you go. At role playing, where the call pinged is about 10 to 14 minutes away, depending on traffic. There it is. I did I'll post the episode that I did. I did a whole, like, I think it was like 17 minutes and it showed the address that the call pinged at, and then I took the path on how you would have to drive to then the body. So I will repost that in the community page so you could check that out. And you could see, like, okay, this is, you know, you'd have to explain this in court to the point that your 911 caller is not standing over the body when they're making this 911 call. And that's because he wasn't. But I think I know who was. And we'll see you guys soon. Again, thank you for being kind in chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Aliquippa, love you. Delsha, Jewel, Miracle, Bear, Pap. Love you guys. See you guys soon.